Okay, so Thanksgiving, right? Big table, tons of food, everyone's there. Like the ultimate picture of abundance.
Yeah, totally.
But have you ever thought about what that scene looks like for most people around the world?
Yeah, not quite the same.
Exactly. And that's kind of the point David Vogel makes in his article, Feast of Fortune on LinkedIn. It's a pretty powerful reality check.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is how he uses Thanksgiving, something so familiar and warm, to show just how big the gap in wealth is globally. And he does it by comparing how Americans live not just to global averages, but to like the bottom 10%.
Right. And he starts with the basics. Okay. Money. The median income of the U.S. is about $70,784 a year, so like almost $6,000 a month.
Right.
So depending on where you live, that could be a decent lifestyle, right?
Mm.
Paying bills,
Mm.
food, maybe some extra for fun stuff.
Sure. But then you look at the global median income, and it's a whole different story. It's only about $3,920 a year. Yeah, so that's like just over $300 a month. Suddenly, making ends meet takes on a whole new meaning.
Yeah, for sure. And then you've got the bottom 10% globally, which is even more.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Vogel points out they live on less than $2 a day, so we're talking less than $700 a year.
It's hard to even imagine.
It is. And think about this. What a lot of Americans might spend on a Thanksgiving shopping trip, maybe even just one big meal, is an entire year's income for someone in that bottom 10%.
Wow. And of course, that affects everything, like where you live.
Huh.
Over 65% of Americans own their homes, right? Big houses, like over 2,200 square feet on average.
Right. Multiple bathrooms, heating, AC.
Yeah, the whole 9 yards. Plenty of room for all those leftovers. But like globally, over 1.6 billion people don't even have what we'd consider a decent place to live.
Yeah, we're talking slums, makeshift shelters, or even, nothing at all.
Right.
And for people in that bottom 10%, things we just expect, like running water and toilets, those are out of reach.
It's crazy how different it is. And then, of course, there's food. Just think about how much we eat on Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
Like a total feast. The average American eats about 3,600 calories a day, and we've got so many choices.
Yeah.
But Thanksgiving, we go all out. Many of us eat over 4,500 calories in one meal.
It's true. We have so much to choose from. But globally, people average about 2,870 calories a day, and often it's just like basic staples.
Right.
But the bottom 10%, they don't even get close to 2,000 calories a day.
That's rough. It really makes you think about that statistic, that over 9% of the world is dealing with malnutrition, and a lot of those people are in that bottom 10%.
Definitely. And then there's another thing we take for granted, water. In the U.S., clean water is just there. We turn on the tap, no problem.
Yeah.
We even buy bottled water just because it's convenient.
Right.
But globally, it's way different. 2 billion people, that's almost a quarter of everyone, don't have access to safe drinking water.
And for those in the bottom 10%.
It's a daily struggle just to find water that might not even be safe to drink. They might have to walk miles every day. Over 785 million people don't have the most basic water services.
Yeah. Hard to believe. And it's not just food, water, shelter. Even work is totally different. Here, people complain about working 34 hours a week, but, we have weekends off, paid vacation, and laws to protect us.
Right.
Not to mention things like health insurance and retirement plans, even chances to, get promoted.
Yeah. But globally, the average work week is over 48 hours, and a lot of it is really hard labor with almost no benefits.
And if we focus on that bottom 10% again?
Yeah, it gets really tough. It's often dangerous work. People are exploited. They get paid almost nothing.
It's sad.
It is. And child labor becomes a reality for a lot of kids. They have to work instead of going to school.
It's a pretty bleak picture. It really makes you appreciate what we have here.
Yeah.
But it also makes you wonder, what can we do about it? Is just being grateful enough?
That's exactly the question David Vogel asks. He says true gratitude isn't just recognizing what we have, but using our privilege to make things better.
Yeah, he makes a good point. Real gratitude is about, not just being thankful for what we have, but actually using what we have to help others. And there are a lot of ways to do that. Donating to organizations that fight poverty, that's a great place to start.
Yeah, even a small amount can make a difference, right?
Absolutely. There are so many amazing organizations out there doing incredible work like providing clean water, supporting education, helping families escape poverty. It's really inspiring.
Definitely. And beyond donations, we can also speak up, right? Like advocate for policies that address the root causes of poverty.
Exactly. Like unfair trade practices or, lack of access to healthcare. Our voices together can push for real change on a bigger scale.
Yeah, for sure. But what about those of us who, maybe can't donate much or aren't sure how to get involved in policy stuff? Like, are there smaller things we can do every day? Oh, absolutely. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by, like, the size of these problems. But remember, even small actions can have a ripple effect. We can be more conscious consumers, support businesses that are ethical and sustainable, try to reduce our own consumption, be mindful of our waste.
So it's about recognizing that our choices are connected to the lives of people all over the world.
Yeah, exactly. And it brings us back to Vogel's main point. Thanksgiving, this time for gratitude and abundance, it can also be a time to think about making a change. It's not just about being thankful, it's about recognizing the responsibility we have because of what we have.
Right. It makes me think about how we usually talk about Thanksgiving. We focus on being grateful, which is important, but maybe we've kind of missed this chance to actually do something.
I think so too. Vogel challenges us to change that way of thinking. What if, along with all the good food and family time, Thanksgiving became a chance to think about our privilege and commit to doing something to make the world better?
That would definitely give it a whole new meaning. Instead of just thinking about all the good stuff on our own table, we can think about all the people who don't have that.
Right. So as we gather with loved ones, enjoying good food and comfy homes, let's remember the millions of people who are struggling, the kids who are going to bed hungry, the communities that don't have clean water.
It's about understanding that our own well-being, our ability to even celebrate Thanksgiving, is connected to the well-being of people all over the world. We can't really thrive if so many others are left behind.
And that brings us to the question Vogel leaves us with. How do we turn this awareness into action? What can we actually do, starting today, to make the world a more just and fair place?
It's a big question, and it can feel overwhelming. But, like Vogel says, even small things, when a lot of people do them, can have a big impact. So where do we even start?
Well, it could be as simple as talking to your family about these issues at Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
Maybe sharing this podcast episode with them.
Yeah, good idea. Or maybe it's deciding to donate some of your holiday budget to a cause you care about, or volunteering at a food bank or shelter in the next few weeks.
Absolutely. You could also support businesses that are ethical and sustainable, even if it costs a little more. It's about making choices that reflect what we believe in.
Right, and we can't forget about advocacy. Writing to your elected officials about policies that address poverty and inequality, that can make a real difference. Using our voices to change the system.
Exactly. There are so many things we can do, but the important thing is to start somewhere. Pick one thing, no matter how small, and commit to it. It's not about doing everything, it's about doing something.
I like that. Imagine if everyone did that. It could really create a huge wave of generosity and action that could change the world.
And maybe that's what Thanksgiving is really all about. Not just celebrating what we have, but being inspired to share it and create a world where everyone has something to be thankful for.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing idea that, like, this holiday that's all about gratitude and abundance could also be about making a real difference. Reading Vogel's article and talking about this, it's definitely changed how I think about Thanksgiving.
It really is interesting how just shifting your perspective a little can have such a big impact. When we recognize that there's so much inequality in the world, it opens us up to the possibility of actually doing something about it.
Before we started this, I knew about the wealth gap, but like seeing the numbers so clearly and then thinking about it in terms of Thanksgiving dinner, it really hit home.
It's all about taking that knowledge and turning it into action. It's easy to get overwhelmed by how big these problems are, but we have to remember that every little act of kindness, every effort we make to change things, even if it seems small, it all adds up.
It's like they say, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Exactly. And this Thanksgiving, we have a chance to take that first step. Maybe it's starting a conversation with our families about these things or donating to a cause we believe in. Maybe it's just trying to be more aware of what we buy and how much we waste. It all makes a difference.
And imagine if everyone thought that way. It could be a really powerful force for good.
It's a beautiful idea, and it's worth fighting for.
So, to everyone listening, as you're enjoying your Thanksgiving this year, we encourage you to take a minute and think about how fortunate many of us are. Let's be grateful, of course, but let's also be mindful. Let's use this holiday as a chance to do something, to remember that we can all make a difference in creating a world where everyone has something to be thankful for.
That's a great way to put it. And maybe that's the best gift we can give this Thanksgiving, not just to others, but to ourselves. The gift of knowing that we're part of something bigger, something that matters, something that can really change the world.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you with this. What will your Thanksgiving legacy be? How will you use what you have to make a world where everyone has a reason to give thanks?